Alright, so I am Kate Morgan, and I am going to talk about something that's becoming more and more important in roboethics. So, especially how ethics and robotics come together in human robot collaboration. Over the next few minutes, I'll take you through what roboethics is. I call it roboethics, and why it matters and how it is shaping the future of engineering. So this is a big deal, especially now that robots are working alongside us in places like hospitals, warehouses, and even on the battlefield. So, what is roboethics? Um, it's this really fascinating mix of engineering, philosophy, and I would say public policy. So basically, it looks at how we should design and use robots responsibly. So think about it. Robots are getting smarter nowadays, and they're starting to make decisions of their own because we are programming them that way. So should we let them make life or death choices, like in driverless cars or combat zones? So these ain't just sci-fi questions. They're real challenges that we all are facing right now or today. All right, now um, let's talk about why this matters for engineers. As of course, so it's not enough to build something that just works. We also have to think about how it affects people. So, for example, facial recognition technology is very powerful, but it's also been used in ways that invade our privacy or reinforce biases. So that's why it's so important to bake ethics into the design process so we don't build systems that unintentionally harm people. Of course, there are a bunch of big ethical questions in robotics, like who's responsible if a robot messes up, say a delivery robot runs into someone who is reliable, the company or the developer. Also, AI systems can have hidden biases if they are trained on flawed data. And of course, a lot of times these systems are black boxes. Even the people who build them don't fully understand how they make decisions. So that's a big problem for accountability. So let's take a look at a few real life examples. In the military, autonomous drones can choose targets. So that's sparked huge debates about whether machines should make lethal decisions. In healthcare, robots are helping care for elderly people. That's great. But it also brings up issues like consent and emotional manipulation. And in places like Amazon, you know, robots have sped up work, but they have also increased stress and injury rates for human workers. So, in these examples, they show why ethics has to be part of the conversation. Okay, now let's go into exploring ethical challenges through expert insights. So since we've discussed on various case studies, highlighting the ethical challenges in human robot interaction. So, here to gain a deeper understanding, let's hear from experts in this field. So, here I have Dr. Kate Darling from MIT. Of course, this video explores our emotional connections with robots and also the ethical considerations that arise from these relationships. I'm going to go ahead and run this for about a minute.
Can anyone tell me what this is? Hitchbot. Yes, it's Hitchbot. What does Hitchbot do? He hitchhikes. Hitchbot asks people to put it in their car and take it somewhere. And as many of you have heard, this robot made it all the way across Canada and through some parts of Europe, relying purely on the kindness of strangers. And then, a few weeks ago, Hitchbot was vandalized. It was trying to cross the United States and someone broke it beyond repair. And honestly, I was a little bit surprised that it took this long for something bad to happen to Hitchbot. But I was even more surprised by the amount of attention that this case got. I mean, it made international headlines, and there was just...
Of course, here is our second video, and this is the ethical robot. For both video, we have to type in the YouTube platform the ethical robot, and it will pop up. Of course, the previous video, you can type in like Dr. Kate Darling, from MIT, and you can be able to get these videos. So they're very famous, and you shouldn't have any trouble to find them. Okay, so here in this video, it explores the importance of integrating moral and ethical frameworks into the design of autonomous robots. So they are self-functioning. So let's take a look at this video for about a minute.
Seems to me we have the opportunity for coming up with a new perspective in thinking about ethics with machine ethics, because what we're going to think about is how we want machines, robots, for example, to treat us. Our research began trying to see whether ethics could be computed.
How do you even represent ethics in a machine? I mean, it's just a bunch of zeros and ones, so somehow you have to find a representation scheme. It's a two-step process by which we try to put ethical principles into a machine. First step is to get a principle. We use a technique called machine learning that takes cases of ethical dilemmas and feed this information to this machine. And it slowly builds a principle that covers the correct answer.
It learned.
So luckily, there are frameworks out there to help guide us, like the IEEE has something called ethically aligned design that focuses on human well-being. The EU also has its own set of rules, and there's something called value sensitive design that makes sure we include people's values from the start, like even the Asimov's 3 laws that we study in this course. So that 3 laws of robotics, from science fiction, have influenced the way people think about roboethics. So even if they are not practical laws themselves. Of course, now if we want engineers to make ethical choices, we have to teach them how. So some schools are doing a great job by adding ethics to their engineering programs. Like, of course, at Kennesaw State University, which we're studying about it, and organizations like NSPE, they have codes that emphasize public safety and welfare. But beyond that, we need hands-on experience like analyzing real-world case studies or working in diverse teams. So ethical engineering isn't just about checking boxes, and it's about having the mindset to ask tough questions and also solve problems the right way. Okay, now looking ahead, roboethics is only going to grow, I think, and it's going to grow in importance. Um, we're seeing things like adaptive ethics, where systems learn from human feedback. There's also work being done on emotional intelligence in AI, so robots can, respond more naturally to people, of course, to us. So governments, they are stepping into it too. So with new laws and regulations, of course, and one of the biggest things, let's think, we have to make sure these systems are inclusive. It means that they work for everyone, not just a select group. So, in conclusion, if we want to wrap things up in roboethics, it isn't just an add-on to engineering, but it's a core part of making sure our technologies are safe, our technologies are fair, and actually, technologies help people. So, as future engineers, developers, or policymakers, it's definitely on us to ask, are we building systems that reflect our values? Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope this sparked some ideas for you about what kind of future we want to create. So here are my two slices for everything I shared today is backed by research from some great sources. If you're curious or want to explore further, and if you want to ask questions about my presentation, please feel free to check out the references here and also email me. Thanks again for listening.